Hello lovely people. This is part 3 of my skincare routine. I want to preface it by saying that I am not an expert. Whatever I share, I don't take responsibility if something goes wrong for you, do what works for you, etc. I'm just sharing what I have been using and noticing results from over the years. I probably started the journey just before I turned 50 and I've really noticed major impacts of all of the things I've been using over this time. And again, it's for my body and what suits me. So it's really important that you explore things that suit you, and hoping that this gives you some inspiration and that you might try some of the things that I'm going to share with you. Okay, I don't even know where to begin, but basically the first thing I started doing was ingesting micronutrients. We live in a world where everything has been removed from the soil and washed clean. We can even buy potatoes with no soil on them, and a lot of stuff is grown hydroponically now, and a lot of stuff of course is processed, so we're missing out on a lot of micronutrients from the soil, and it's having a deep effect on our guts, and not in a good way. I mean, as you well know, diabetes and cancer and thyroidism is the new diabetes now, because we're just missing out on so many micronutrients. So the thing that I do for my skin and health is to ingest high therapeutic dose of vitamins and minerals, and I do this after consultation with either a naturopath or a biomedical doctor. I don't think you should be self-prescribing these kind of doses, so please don't do that. Please do consult someone about it first. I started off by taking green smoothies, and I would do this in the morning. I had a bit of a lapse on them for a while, but I'm back onto them now. So a green smoothie is essentially a bunch of different things. You can put all manner of fruits and vegetables in, of course. I always put spinach leaves and sometimes cucumber, and then I will put in some super greens powder. I will always put in turmeric and cinnamon because they are so great for balancing blood sugar, the cinnamon, and also the turmeric is great for inflammatory responses. So lots of lemon juice. Also apple cider vinegar. I'm sure you've heard how fantastic that is for your health, and I just put a teaspoon of that in because it tastes horrendous, so you only want a little bit. And then I will put in a bunch of micronutrient small things like sesame seeds, pepitas, sunflower seeds. I'll put in chia seeds. I sometimes put in macca powder, which is great for women of our age, for balancing hormones. I also put in sometimes cacao powder. Cacao powder is absolutely brilliant for you health-wise. Oh, sometimes hemp powder, which is again brilliant nutritionally, our nutritional yeast. And also I love to put in berries. Berries are so low in sugar and carbs, and they are such a brilliant way to get sweetness. Sometimes I put apples in, sometimes a bit of orange, but I only ever put the full fruit in. I never put just the juice. So the whole idea is to avoid sugar as much as you possibly can, and that does include natural sugars like fruits. Generally the fruit I eat are berries, and they can be frozen or fresh, it doesn't matter. So if you don't like the bitter taste of a smoothie like that, certainly add lots of berries, and certainly if you don't, I'm not too worried about too much sugar in your diet or not low carb like I am, then you can put apples and all manner. I think nectarines are beautiful. And of course, water. Coconut water is great because it's very, very readily absorbable and it plumps up your skin much faster than water. So I just whiz that up in a NutriBullet. I was using a blender for quite a while, but I broke like 7 of them because I was using them so much, and they're hopeless for this kind of thing. So it's worth investing in a NutriBullet. Every night I take a cocktail of vitamins, and these have been assessed by my biomedical doctor. Now what I mean by that is it's a doctor that has trained very, very intensively on nutrition and diet, and they understand the different metabolic and high nutrition processes that go on at the cellular level in the body, and this is something that regular doctors are not trained in. Some are starting to incorporate this into their routines along with acupuncture and other sort of alternative medicines, which is exciting. But if you have a very traditional GP who is very orthodox, you might not get that kind of support. So seeking out what we call a biomedical doctor or a natural doctor, they are absolutely 100% orthodox trained professional doctors, but they go into deeper processes like the gut, and the fact that we have brain cells in the gut and all this kind of incredible stuff, and they focus on the microbiome in the body and what nutrition you're missing. So if you have a blood test and they tell you that your iron levels are in the normal range, this is not good enough. You need to know where that falls on the scale. So if a daily optimum level is between 50 and 100 and you're at 50, that's not good enough. We shouldn't be settling for good enough. We need optimal nutrition, and we're just not getting it from our foods. You could eat a raft of broccoli and you're not going to get the kind of intensified nutrition that you can get from the right supplements, and you need to take the right ones, and the right person will recommend them to you. I find iHerb really good for buying vitamins and minerals, and you can also get things that you can't get in Australia. For example, melatonin you can buy through iHerb, and that is fantastic for sleep cycles. But again, you need to discuss this with a professional before you go ahead and do any of this. The other thing I use for sleeping, and of course sleep is reflected in our skin, is valerian fort. I find that really helpful, and it's just a calmative, and it doesn't have any kind of negative effect as sleeping tablets do. And melatonin's the same, but again, you need to get that dosed for you. So the vitamins and minerals I take at night. I take them before bed after food, and that's because this is the time that your body is repairing and your skin is regenerating. So that is the most effective time for vitamins and minerals to be absorbed. So here's what I take. Iron, high levels of vitamin C, high levels of vitamin D, because I spend a lot of time indoors and we have sunscreen on outdoors, so we're not absorbing vitamin D, and we are all Australians are vitamin D deficient, and it is an epidemic. And we actually do really need to get large swathes of skin. We need to get 20 minutes of sunlight every day if we can, preferably early morning or late afternoon. So I really encourage you to do that. Just sit out for 20 minutes with your thighs exposed if you don't have sunscreen on them, because we're just all so Vit D deficient, and we're getting depressed and we're getting low mood and the whole lot that comes with not enough sun exposure. So I take a high vitamin D every day. I take magnesium and zinc. Now, these are the two things that modern humans are missing the most, because we are not eating from the ground, we're not growing our own food, and we're missing so much nutrition. All of us are deficient in this, and this can result in so many problems, particularly behavioral and particularly in kids. So I have friends who have their kids on this same level of vitamins and minerals. It completely alters these children, and of course it is a wonderful way to protect yourself from health and disease. We don't want to be protected from health. So I highly recommend those two. And of course, vitamin B is really important. My son was getting some mouth ulcers for a while there, and I realized it's vitamin B deficiency because we don't eat a lot of wheat products or grains. So we upped him on a multi-B, and they disappeared overnight, and he's been fantastic ever since. So I take a B12, but it's a methylcobalamin, and there are different types of B12. And this is the better one. It's much more readily absorbed, and this is why you need to seek out really top brands, because there are, the regular Synovus sort of bulk ones that you just buy at the supermarket. Often they are such bad quality they will not even make a dent, and you will end up just spending your money on something that's not doing anything for your body. So I got this recommended through my naturopath. I also take B6 or pyridoxal, and that's also something that I was lacking in. So having a blood test is a great way to find out what you're lacking in, so you can tailor make your regime. I also take turmeric tablets or curcumin tablets, and the Wagner 3333 are fantastic. They're not expensive, and they're fantastic for inflammation. And we all have inflammation, whether from what we're eating, the environmental toxins, the electromagnetic stress that we're under from all of our devices. Stress is so heavy on us, and we really need to have that inflammatory, shield. Then I take a hair supplement. Now there are many of these on the market, and this is one that I get from iHerb. It's called Supreme Vital Hair. Now the thing with this is you need to take 4 a day. So it can get quite expensive, but I really do notice a difference when I take 4 a day. At the moment I'm taking 2, but with 4 I notice a huge difference in my hair, my eyebrows grow back, all that kind of thing. So something like that is absolutely fantastic. There's also some herbs that are renowned for health-giving properties that are too long to list. So I'll tell you a couple of them that I take, that some of the world's finest health specialists and nutrition experts take, that are just so holistically good for our bodies. The first one is Ashwagandha, you may have heard of it, and also holy basil. Chasteberry is also excellent for menopausal women because it helps balance the hormones. And I also occasionally take St. John's wort, which is really great for mood. So if you're feeling really low, a lot of these are available on iHerb. They're sometimes hard to find in pharmacies and stuff, but you could try health food stores as well. The other thing for menopausal women that I find excellent for hot flushes is dong quai. And I'm going to list all these in the notes so you don't have to take notes. And dong quai is a Chinese herbal medicine, and it is fantastic for women because it helps balance the periods, but it also helps with hot flushes in menopausal women, and they eliminate mine. Absolutely eliminate them. It's unbelievable. That's what I take in terms of vitamins and minerals. And then the other great way that you can enhance your skin and your health is looking after your gut. So taking a probiotic tea or a probiotic tablet, again, research which one's the best ones, and I highly, highly recommend this to balance your gut and to add lots of flora. The other thing to do is to add prebiotics. So for example, green banana flour is absolutely brilliant, and what it does is it feeds the bacteria directly so that they thrive and grow and improve, and they drown out the shitty bacteria, literally, they do, so that they disappear and your gorgeous flora thrive. And what that does is it reduces stress, it improves digestion, it clarifies the skin, and it also improves your mood and your clarity. So the gut is so aligned to the brain. It's an absolutely brilliant thing to take, these prebiotics. I highly recommend that. The other thing I do is try to drink as much water as possible to help hydrate, and also so that we don't get fluid retention. So if you find your rings are getting tighter or you're just feeling a bit puffy in the legs, it's usually water retention, and it's because you're not drinking enough water. You don't want to go too crazy because you'll puff up again, but you want to be fully hydrated every day. And the other thing a lot of people forget is that we also need oils. We need fats for a healthy functioning body, and indeed if you're keto, you can eat as much fat as you like and you won't put on a gram. So we need fat for our brains, we also need it for our skin, and of course the best is monounsaturated. You want to avoid anything poly because poly is carcinogenic and it's extremely bad for the body. I do have some saturated fat, which is perfectly fine in moderation. So I have avocado, I have butter, and I have coconut oil in moderation. I also take MCT oil. Let me show you. Here is the MCT oil that I use. You can just get it from Woolies or Coles, and it's absolutely brilliant. It is like a refined coconut oil, and it has unbelievable health benefits, and it's also low carb and keto if that's what you're doing, so it barely registers a blip in carbs. And I also have a lot of vinegar, so I will take vinegar probably, oh gosh, a good on the greens every night of my life. And also this, so I put these both on. I just liberally cover my salads. I always have raw spinach leaves every night, no matter what I'm eating, like 2 big handfuls. And I will put those on, and I will also add a sprinkling of oat bran, because oat bran helps with cholesterol, and when you become menopausal your cholesterol levels naturally rise, and if you're eating any animal meat or animal fats, then it can rise even higher, particularly with eggs. So if you're having eggs, maybe cut out a couple of yolks and just try to up your good fat levels. And what vinegars do for the body are extraordinary. I'm an asthmatic, and there's actually studies showing that people who have a high dose of vinegar, their lungs just change. Asthma's so much better when I'm taking lots of vinegar. And also it helps balance the pH of the skin, vinegar. So having that little bit of apple cider vinegar in the morning or on a salad, the balsamic, is really good for your skin. Right, and then through the day, I will generally not eat until about maybe 2 or 3 o'clock. I won't eat anything. I might have a few coffees. In fact, I have one right here. And what I do is I brew my own coffee, and then I have a dollop of cream in it. So there's no carbs in cream, and that's why I have to be careful with my cholesterol. I don't eat any other animal products, or maybe a little bit of fish. And so I have a little bit of cream. That's the only real animal products I have, so I'm keeping my levels under control. But that's also why I have a little teaspoon of oat bran or rice bran, because that helps enormously with cholesterol levels. So that's a little tip for you as well. Cheers.